Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome back to the second candle review of the day. If you missed it a little earlier, I uploaded my thoughts on the Homeworks Affogato Espresso fragrance. If you are curious about that one, I will go ahead and link the review in the description box right below this video. I will also put a link to where to shop for Candleberry candles. We are reviewing Candleberry Pink Sugar in this video, so I'll put the information for this scent in the description box. You can't really see the label because this is obviously one of their small jars. I just became familiar with Candleberry last year. It was a company that I have had on my must-try list for quite some time. And I was really honestly intrigued the most by their giant cookie jars. And if you were around my channel last year, you know that I purchased one of their cookie jars. I ended up choosing the fragrance Vanilla Crumb Cake, which is absolutely delicious. And if you are looking for a really great yummy gourmand scent, I honestly can't recommend that particular scent enough from them. I started out initially by purchasing several of their wax melts. I will warn you, however, if you decide to try those out like I did, they are very hard. I have a feeling there is quite a bit of paraffin in their wax melts. And honestly, most of the warmers that I utilize around my house, I would say actually, I think I've gotten rid of any that are not Scentsy, but most of the warmers that I have are from Scentsy. I'm not a consultant, but I do purchase quite a few Scentsy products. I just love the brand overall for wax melts. But my warmers, which are 25-watt warmers, just did not do a good job of melting that particular wax. It was just very hard. I have a feeling that Candleberry wax melts would do much better in those like higher wattage hot plate warmers. You can actually find those a lot of times, I believe, at Michael's. At least that's where I found one of the ones that I have. Now, I didn't end up using the hot plate warmer with any of those wax melts. I actually forgot where I had put it. I just recently found it a few months ago. But I have a feeling that that is what would work much better with those wax melts. So if you're thinking about buying the wax melts to be able to try some of their scents and planning on just using them in 25-watt warmers, either from Scentsy or from Oak and Rye or Better Homes and Gardens, you may not have the best luck with melting that particular wax. So just something worth keeping in mind. But it did allow me the opportunity to go through a bunch of their fragrances and just kind of sniff things out. And that was how I landed on Vanilla Crumb Cake as being the best possible option from the roundup of fragrances that I tried in the wax melts. I had a pretty good experience with my cookie jar, and I'm interested in purchasing a second one. But I wanted to try a different scent. Even though I love Vanilla Crumb Cake, I just wanted to give something else a try from the brand. So this go around, instead of wax melts, I ended up ordering 3 of their small jar candles. I figured that ordering the candles would be a better representation of what I would get in the cookie jar anyway, since I am actually, you know, burning the scent. And the price point really isn't terrible for their small jars. They seem to always be on sale for $14.99. So if you are thinking about trying some candles from Candleberry, I would definitely say start there. It does suck to be stuck with a large jar of something that you're just not entirely sure you're gonna love. This is one of the reasons why I really appreciate Kringle, for example, for having the daylights, because you can try just a small version of that candle, see what the wax smells like, see what the flame combined with the wax gets you, because that can actually be different from, you know, melting a fragrance. Sometimes there can be changes, so just something worth keeping in mind. But yeah, you guys, this is the first of the 3 candles that I'm going to review that I purchased. I also have their waffle cone scent as well as a tangerine fragrance. I will put reviews of both of those up probably next week at some point, so stay tuned for those. But I wanted to start with what I think is definitely my favorite and what could potentially be a contender for a cookie jar, but I'm questioning it a little bit, and I'll talk about that at the end if you're not interested in that information. So, all right, you guys, let's go ahead and read through the fragrance notes. I'm gonna tell you my just strength and throw experience with this one. I will, however, say these are only 1 wick candles, and I really didn't have super high expectations in terms of strength and throw. So I'm not really mad at the strength and throw that I'm getting here. I kind of expected that. The cookie jar is a total powerhouse. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and read through these scent notes. Okay. By the way, if you were around in the early 2000s and you loved Aquilina Pink Sugar, you know exactly what this smells like. That is a perfume that I wore in the early 2000s, and I tell you what, I definitely overdid it with that particular one. I'm sure I offended plenty a coworker when I was in the office setting. In fact, this fragrance right here, Pink Sugar, is what got me called into HR once, and I was informed that I am no longer welcome to wear perfume to work. I know. Listen, I was in my early 20s. I was not quite as thoughtful as I am about other people's sensitivities at this point. So you live, you learn. All right, top notes. Cotton candy, vanilla sugar, and Mediterranean fig. The mid notes are pink jasmine, water lily, and saltwater taffy. The base is a double vanilla bourbon, brown sugar, and sponge sugar. Okay. So if you have never had the pleasure of smelling Pink Sugar, I feel like the best way for me to break it down is that this basically smells like if you took pink cotton candy and then somehow added even more sugar to that pink cotton candy, and then added some steroids to it. It is intensely sweet. It is a pretty straightforward fragrance in my eyes. I think it's what I mostly get is that pink cotton candy sugary note. Although I do kind of understand the addition of the vanilla sugar. There is some vanilla floating around in the background of this. I do think that it helps to tamp down a little bit of that sweetness, but not a whole lot. In terms of the fig note that's listed here, I honestly don't get much in the way of fig. Maybe there is just the slightest touch, but I think the cotton candy just kind of overpowers what might be there. Now the taffy note I can see, it is more of, I would say, like a strawberry taffy note for sure. I don't pick up these floral notes of jasmine and water lily, so I'm just gonna cross those off for me. And in terms of the base notes, I find this vanilla bourbon to be very interesting. I also find the brown sugar to be interesting because I don't get that vanilla bourbon, which to me typically is a deeper, slightly maybe more smoky type of vanilla with a little bit of a booziness to it. I'm not getting that here. I also don't smell brown sugar. This to me smells more like the sponge sugar, if you will. So white sugar, I guess you could say. It's just an intensely sweet, feminine, cotton candy touch of salt water, taffy, and a strawberry flavor, hint of vanilla in the background type of fragrance. I think it's delicious. It does smell quite, I would say, maybe edible to my nose, but also perfumey at the same time. I really still like this scent a lot. It brings back fond memories for me of a time in my life where I was just kind of getting started as an adult out in the real world after college. You know, I used to wear this like when I would go out with my girlfriends to bars and stuff. It was definitely an attention getter. It is the type of fragrance for, you know, if you're walking by someone and you put on too much, it is quite noticeable. But here's the thing. Do I think that I can handle this type of intensely sweet scent in a cookie jar size? I don't actually know. I think it might be too much at this point. I feel like the strength and throw of this 1 wick jar, this 1 wick small jar here, is about, I would say, like maybe a 4, like between a 3.5 and a 4 in terms of strength. And then around a 3 in terms of throw. Like, I don't expect much in terms of throw from this one. But I do think if I multiplied this by a whole lot more wax and a whole lot more wicks, which are going to give me a much deeper wax pool each time, I think it might get to be too much. I really do. I have a feeling that it would be offensive to most people. And I really try to be mindful with my home fragrance, not so much when I'm home alone working throughout the day, but I do try to become more mindful. For example, when my kid is heading home from school, you know, sometimes she's a little bit sensitive to fragrance. And so, you know, I try not to go overboard. While I think Stella would love this particular one and she would probably be okay with it, I think Craig would probably not love this one. And so for that reason, I think what I'm gonna do instead of buying the cookie jar is just buy a large jar of this one and maybe put it in a candle crock, or I might just burn it. And I think if I put it in a hurricane or a candle sleeve, I might be able to get more like throw out of it that way. So, but I just don't know that I can commit to a cookie jar of this one. It is quite a potent scent, and just because it is one of those ones where I don't think everybody's gonna love it, I just don't think that I can spend the money on a cookie jar. The cookie jars are quite spendy. I wanna say that they are regularly on sale for like around $150. Let me just actually confirm that really quickly. I'm pulling that up. Okay, $159.99 is just the regular, quote unquote, regular sale price, if you will. They also have a price point of $180 here that's just crossed out, but I think they just always have these sales. So anyway, overall burn quality on this little guy, however, has been pretty decent. This is I believe a soy wax blend, so it's not pure soy. It's not as clean burning as the Kringle soy formula, so that's a little bit of a letdown for me, but it's still fairly decent. I did just light this one about 15-20 minutes before starting this video, but I will give you an overhead shot. I can already smell it right now just with like the little bit of wax that's melted. So again, this is a potent type of scent. But you can see here that I have not had any wax sticking to the sides. I do have some discoloration right there. So that looks to be just a little bit of sooting. Maybe that's starting there. But everything else looks pretty decent. These do take a while to fully pull out, however, so do know that one of the best things that you can probably do with these is maybe get a candle sleeve. I will link one that you can get from Amazon in the description box down below, so check that out. And that will help to retain the heat in your candles a little bit more. But I'm still going to give this one 2 thumbs up. It's just a very, I guess, it's a memory evoking scent for me, so I do really like it, and it smells like the authentic pink sugar does. There are a lot of companies, by the way, that do this pink sugar like dupe fragrance situation, so you don't just have to pick this up from Candleberry. But yeah, anyway, hopefully this review was helpful, but no, this is not going to be the winner for the cookie jar. We'll see which one wins, if any of the 3 that I recently picked up. I might need to place an order for a few more of these to find the scent that really speaks to my soul, if you will. Anyway, let me know your experience with any of your Candleberry jars or pink sugar specifically. I appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Toodaloo.